Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby Maine. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
The man they allegedly robbed was 29-year-old Isiah Martin. According to court documents, 4 days later, Martin and 2 teenage associates ambushed Trey Marshall at the Lakeside Landing apartment complex in retaliation for the robbery.
I can't save no bitch, I don't trust these hoes, I will never snitch, I can't break the code, I could break a bitch and send that hoe to get some more. If rapping don't work, then I'm wrapping up some bows.
Motivation Monday, which means it's time to get it. There's a lot of shit going on out here in this world. You feel me? The world is spinning. This money is circulating. This ain't nobody else's. Ain't nobody in here with me at all. You feel me? This is motivation. Niggas are doing gas. We doing the count around here. You better not selling lemonade. We got lemonade for sale.
A heartbroken mother is sharing her grief after learning her 16-year-old son was likely the victim of retaliation for a crime he was never involved in.
You took Trey from all of the people who loved him.
Now, 3 men are in the Pierce County Jail. They are charged with the murder of Larry Marshall III, known as Trey, to family and friends. Now, his killing was part of a larger crime spree that's been plaguing Tacoma. Thank you for joining us. I'm Monique Minglavin.
And I'm Aaron Wright. Marshall's only tied to the crimes. He was friends with the teenagers who allegedly staged the robbery that led to his death. KIRO 7's Deborah Horn is live in Tacoma. Deborah, this is a tragedy every way you look at it.
It absolutely is, Aaron. And you know, this is part of a terrible statistic. Trey is the 5th person under the age of 18 to be killed in Tacoma since January. And you know, this one may be the most convoluted of all. Now, according to investigators, his death was in retaliation for a crime that actually happened last month here at the Tacoma Mall. A crime he had nothing to do with. Do you know what he had planned for his life? You said he loved
Oregon. He kept saying he wanted to go to University of Oregon to play football or Alabama.
This boy was a natural athlete.
Larry Marshall III was Trey to these people who loved him most of all, his parents, his sisters too. And even though he's gone, talking about him still makes them smile.
He wanted to be a police officer. That's what he wanted. He wanted an electrician.
Or an elevator man.
He wanted to be a lot of things in life.
But Trey will never get to do any of those things. Never imagined that you would be in this position.
No, you don't think you're going to leave for work and you're never going to see your son again.
On March 25th, 2 of his friends, 19-year-old Tyrus Walker Scott and 18-year-old Isaiah Williams, allegedly staged a robbery inside the Kinlow barbershop in the Tacoma Mall. The man they allegedly robbed was 29-year-old Isiah Martin. According to court documents, 4 days later, Martin and 2 teenage associates ambushed Trey Marshall at the Lakeside Landing apartment complex in retaliation for the robbery. Trey's friends showed up at the scene visibly upset, and that was the first Tacoma police knew about the robbery at the Tacoma Mall. By then, Trey, an innocent victim, was dead, having been shot multiple times.
Upset, hurt more than anything.
Now his family is remembering the teenager with the $1 million smile.
He was a giving guy. He loved people. He would give you anything on his back, would never charge you. He was a great, never.
He gave away everything.
I just think we gotta find a way to do something with these guns.
In fact, he believes that penalties for crimes with guns should be stiffened. Well, as for the three men now charged with the murder of his son, the two teens are being held on $1 million bail. Isiah Martin is being held on $1.5 million bail. He does have a criminal history, and tonight all three remain in the Pierce County Jail. Reporting live in Tacoma, Deborah Horn, Cairo 7 News.
Now, just how far are y'all willing to go to settle the score on a robbery? And let me complicate it a little bit. What if you can't find or catch the person responsible for the robbery? We in the Pacific Northwest with it. What up, though? It's your Popalot. Whole lot of mob shit going on. Now, we in Tacoma. If we got anybody tuned into this mob shit in Washington State, we definitely need y'all in the comment box. I'm not even sure if we've been here yet. But today, I'm going to do my absolute best to tell y'all the story of a 29-year-old man by the name of Isiah Martin and how he would recruit two teenagers and set out a plan for payback after being the victim of a robbery at a barbershop in one of the city's malls. Now, I'm sure when you think of a city like Tacoma, this is not going to be the first thing that kind of comes to mind. Now, with it being tucked away up north from Los Angeles, California, a place that I would consider just a hub or the headquarters for gangs in general, as we've been hearing about the shit going on as long as the 60s and 70s and been seeing that shit plastered on the screen through the 1980s and the 1990s, and it's still taking place as we speak. And with the spotlight pretty much being on Los Angeles, some of the shit that goes down in Tacoma will pretty much go unnoticed. But in late March of 2023, when a teenager by the name of Larry Trey Marshall III, a high school football player at Foss High School, would be gunned down, it would show exactly how ugly shit could get in a city like Tacoma. Now, the homicide of Larry Trey Marshall III would take place on March the 29th. The events surrounding it would occur about 4 days early on March 25th, when two friends of Trey Marshall, 19-year-old Tyrus Walker Scott and 18-year-old Isiah Williams, would go on to allegedly rob the older Isiah Martin at the popular Kinslow Barbershop in Tacoma Mall. Unaware to the two at that time, but that robbery would have deadly consequences. And the more you look into the details surrounding the ambush murder of Trey Marshall at the Lakeside Landing apartment complex in Tacoma, you would see just how shit would get down in the city. Now, it's not quite sure if the robbery of Isiah Martin was targeted, just a crime of opportunity, or maybe they just looked at him as an easy target as he was confined to a wheelchair. But when one of the men responsible for the robbery on Isiah Martin would be arrested, it would shed a little bit more light onto the situation. Now, in mid-April of 2023, the Tacoma Police SWAT team would move in on an apartment they had been running surveillance on. Now, according to Fox 13, Tacoma police were able to track down a group of teenagers that might have been linked to a multi-city crime spree. Now, court documents would show that investigators were able to trail the suspects after a rash of robberies that would start on April 12, 2023, that would include the shooting of a clerk at the Quickie Smoke Shop in Tacoma. Now, one of those four arrested would be 18-year-old Isiah Williams, who police believe to be the suspected getaway driver in several of those robberies during that cross-state crime spree. So with that evidence, it'll probably be easy to say that Isiah Williams was just probably a group of young teens that was on some shit where anybody could probably get it. And Isiah Martin was probably just included in that anybody. And Isiah Martin, no stranger to the criminal justice system himself, I seen where he faced charges of cross-state prostitution as early as the mid-2010s. I would also see some documentation to where he was trying to get an appeal for a gun charge that he was facing in 2019. And based on his Instagram page, looked like he has some affiliation with a local Crip set. And when you think about the details of the robbery, with it going down in a barbershop where shit's always seemed like it's people, but when you amplify that with the barbershop being in the local shopping mall, who knows the amount of people that witnessed this robbery that reportedly went unreported, but the police found out about it. So with all of that, it sounds like Isiah Martin just had to do something to protect his name, protect his reputation, or even get back the shit that they probably got from him. And according to authorities, it wouldn't be 4 days from that public robbery to where authorities would allege that Isiah Martin would recruit 2 teenagers, 16-year-old Vincent Bradley and Devontae Poole, who was 17 years old, to get even. And on March 29th, the trio would find themselves in a red Dodge Charger outside of an apartment complex as they would sit and wait for Larry Trey Marshall. After spotting Marshall, records would state that Bradley and Poole would get out the car when Marshall walked into the parking lot, where the two would proceed to fire at least 33 shots at the young man that had nothing to do with the robbery. Now, the group would be arrested just a few days later on April 6th, but that leads me to ask the question to y'all. Did Isiah Martin go too far? Now, in my judgment, it seems like the rules of engagement have changed a little bit. Now, they're going to have some people that say anybody is an open mark or anybody is a target when something like this happens. And they're going to have some people that say, well, you got to get the person that's solely responsible for the act. Me personally, I'm not going to feel right unless I get that person solely responsible. But that's just me. I want to know what y'all think. Definitely hit that comment box. Let me know y'all take on this situation. And something like this is not new. It's all too common going on across cities nationwide. Y'all make sure y'all hit that red subscribe button and the bell right under this video so y'all know when this real Trill Spill shit is dropping. And per usual, get in the comment box. Run it up. Let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what we need to be discussing, all of that. Shay's Popalot. We're going to be back before you know it. Salute the almighty mob.